Y'all, the way it's been weeks now, and I am still so confused about Brianna Olsen and Santos. Like, are they pregnant? Are they not pregnant? I really don't know what to believe. Now I really do feel like so many people on TikTok are super skeptical. Like, I feel like at first everyone was believing it, and there was probably about 20% of the people were like, I don't know about this. I think it's fake. And then now I would probably say there's probably like a good 75% of people that think it's fake. I'm still in the boat of I don't know, honestly, y'all. Like, I feel like yes, it is true that they can fake it, but then I don't know if you guys recall. Okay, when I was talking about this like a couple weeks ago, I did say that a lot of people were like, "Wait, she wasn't pregnant at first. Like, she faked that it was a skit, and then turns out like she really ended up getting pregnant because like they kept on trying." And you know what's so crazy is like normally like you wouldn't even have to question things like this. However, when it comes down to Brianna Olsen and Santos, it's kind of like you gotta question their every move because they are a hot damn mess. However, now everybody is saying, okay, and if you guys don't recall, actually, while I was on my little cruise, by the way, I'm back from my cruise. Hello, I'm back on land over here, y'all, and I look busted. Because the way I was like looking at my beard, I'm like, oh, I need to shave. Whenever I don't shave my neck, I feel like I look so dirty. I'm like, oh my gosh, I look like houseless. Or like, what do they call it now? What's the politically correct term? I had saw somewhere on TikTok that it's offensive to say like a homeless person. I'm like, oh, and they said it's houseless. And I'm like, y'all, don't get me started on that. I swear, I'm becoming like one of those old people that is like so towards the new generation because I'm like home, house, same thing, you know, houseless or the homeless or the unhoused. I'm just like it's the same damn thing. Okay, I swear. I'm like the older I get, I'm like I'm losing my mind with these people and they're damn. You can't say that. That's offensive. You can't say that. That's offensive. I'm like shut up. Okay, I'm over it. I swear, losing my damn mind. Anyways, y'all, I look busted, but we're gonna like disregard that. Okay, for the probably like next 4 to 5 videos because I'm currently pre-filming right now and I was like, y'all, I literally just got off my ship yesterday. I am tired as hell and I gotta pre-film, okay? So I don't got time to be shaving and anything like that. Anyways, y'all, speaking about these two, okay, I just feel like I am just so baffled. I do kind of feel like everyone's now questioning it though. That's where it be, y'all. As soon as my ADD kicked in, I was like, "What was I talking about?" But I do always remember. I come back to it. Okay, a lot of people were actually mentioning, and I did make a video about it a couple weeks ago. And I was just kind of like, "Wait, I'm a little bit confused here now because she's out there in Vegas." And I'm like, "Y'all," I had to ask the women out there. I was like, wouldn't she be showing by now? Because she's a very thin girl. So I don't know if it's just me. Okay, but this is gonna sound offensive, but I mean this towards my homegirls. Okay, all of my homegirls are chunky. Okay, so low key, it took a while to see that they were pregnant. You know what I mean? Because they were chunky. You know what I mean? However, I feel like when you're thin, don't you show sooner? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people were saying in my last comments, like, yeah, she should definitely be showing by now, especially if she's like 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, she is speaking out about that, and she's also speaking out about her DVRO, which we'll get to at the end of the video because actually, like, 2K was speaking out about some situations as well too. Which I'm so confused about this damn DVRO, y'all. Like, I'm sitting over here like, wait, she's still talking about everything up on the internet when I think that she was supposed to stop. However, I'm guessing she knows obviously more than I do when it comes down to what she can and can't talk about. But I had thought the whole purpose of the DVRO from 2K's point of view was to get her to stop talking about him on the internet. However, she still is, and she's still talking about all this different things. But anyways, before we jump into that, I want to play this very first clip, y'all, because a lot of people once again are like, oh, how come you're like, you know, not having a baby bump? How come you're not talking about the baby anymore? So I do want to go play this first clip right here because she like talks about how I believe she said in her first pregnancy that she didn't start showing until she was like 6 months pregnant, which please y'all, look, the way I don't want to be offensive, okay, but like low-key, if you guys know me, like people are gonna think that I'm like skinny phobic or something like that because honestly, y'all, like I have never really had a skinny friend that got pregnant. Literally all of my homegirls are chunky monkeys, y'all. So I'm sitting over here like I just assume that if you're skinny that you would just show, you know what I mean? I know obviously everybody's body is different, and even if you're skinny, I'm sure there are people out there that don't show until you're 6 months, but I would imagine if you're thin, like you would be showing like right away. Do you know what I mean? Like, y'all, I feel like there was this like TikToker before, she's like, I'm so bloated right now, look, I look pregnant, and like she literally like showed her belly, and I was sitting over here like, well, first of all, girl, you still look toned, but then like you could actually see the bloatedness. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wait, if you're skinny and you're bloated and it shows, because y'all, the way like when I'm bloated because I'm still so fat, like when I'm bloated, you can't tell. You know what I mean? Like it still looks the same. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like on a skinny person, if it like shows a bloatedness shows on a skinny person, like wouldn't a baby? Do you know what I mean? Anyways, check out this first clip from her right here.
Show us a bump. That girl, I didn't even show it until I was 6 months pregnant. Nobody even knew I was pregnant last time I was pregnant. Like, a bump doesn't equal if you're actually pregnant or not. There's some girls that don't even show their whole pregnancy. Like, I know your mom's a big back and all your aunties, so you're used to like, as soon as they're pregnant, bitch, they look that much pregnant. Babe, that's not me. And that's not the reality for a lot of women.
You know what really sucks is like watching that clip back. I'm like, you know what? You just can't even believe anything that she says. Like, obviously, she did say within her first pregnancy she didn't show until she was like 6 months, which I don't know, y'all. Like, I'm not a woman, okay? However, I have known obviously several people who have been pregnant, and I'm just kind of like, girl, even my chunky friends, like, I feel like they started even showing, like, at like 4 months. So I'm a little bit confused over here. But I do have to keep in mind that everybody's body is different, okay? Like, people obviously carry different things differently. Like, for example, I was saying earlier, some skinny people, like, you could physically see that they are bloated. Do you know what I mean? Which is such a crazy concept to me because I feel like you have to have such a flat, like, defined stomach to be able to see that you're bloated. Because, like I said, y'all, oh my gosh, getting off of my cruise, woo, y'all, even while being on Zepbound, y'all, oh my gosh, I threw it back because this was a newer ship that I went on, so there were so many different food options, and I was like, oh my god, I want to try it all, because even though I'm on Zepbound and like my stomach can't handle all this food, I still got a fat brain that tells me, ooh, try this, try that, ooh, that looks good, ooh, that sounds good, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it's so crazy that I feel so freaking bloated, and I just feel like you can't even tell, you know what I mean? However, on a skinny person, I feel like you can. Anyway, so for the skinny women out there who have been pregnant, please let us know in the chat, like, how long did it take you guys to start showing? Because now I'm super confused because I'm like, 6 months? I'm like, that means you only got 3 months left. You know what I mean? Because I do feel like by now she would obviously start showing. But here's the thing of this, okay? You know how I was mentioning in that video that I did pre-film before my cruise, I literally said within there that like everyone's like, oh, no, it was a skit at first, and then all of a sudden now they're pregnant because they were like actively trying so they could make it really happen. You know what I'm saying? Here's my thing though. If people are going to do the math, not if, okay? People are going to do the math, and whenever she gives birth, they're obviously going to be able to track it back to 9 months to obviously see if they were lying, because here's my thing about it. If she had said that she was pregnant in like, what was it, like the end of June or maybe the beginning of July, I don't know, somewhere around there, or no, maybe it was a little bit later. Maybe it was like the end of July, whatever the hell it was, okay? It doesn't really matter. But people are going to track it back and be like, wait, girl, there's no way you were pregnant for 10 months or you were pregnant for 11 months. You know what I'm saying? So I really do feel like even if she did lie, like it's going to come out, especially within this case, because I'm like, people are going to track the 9 months and be like, girl, there's no way that they, had you keep the baby up inside your belly for 11 months, which I'm like, y'all, they're going to find out. So I just think it sucks when it comes down to Brianna Olsen and Santos that they just be lying. Anyways, by the way, okay, I didn't even mention this. So when I had came back, obviously, from my cruise, I'm now seeing that Brianna Olsen is down there in Texas and Santos can't be around the baby. However, people were saying online, and I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on this, okay, because I kind of haven't really formed an opinion. But I guess apparently that she was FaceTiming Santos while she was with Winter, which you guys know, or if you guys didn't know, within the court orders that Santos was, directed to not be allowed around Winter, okay? That is literally in the court orders, and it could really mess them up towards their future, reassessment of the court case if Santos is around. So a lot of people are like, oh, that's shady, like she shouldn't even be FaceTiming him. This is where I have to say I don't really have an opinion on it, only because I'm sitting over here like, well, it's just FaceTime, and I guess he's not physically there. And then honestly, like Winter, I want to say is like a year and like, I don't know, 4 months. Like he doesn't even know who the hell Santos is. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's not really that big of a deal, but a lot of people were saying that it is, pretty shady. Anyways, y'all, one little last thing about the pregnancy, because she, in that same live that I showed you guys a clip from earlier, she was talking about how why she stopped talking about her pregnancy, which I think is kind of funny, because if you guys do not recall, over the last few weeks, she really has simmered down on talking about her pregnancy, and I do think because obviously so many rumors were circulating, and then also on top of that too, I don't think Brianna Olsen and Santos even factored in that, like, people are online sleuths. They will go back to a individual date and they will do the math from there and be like, oh, she announced her pregnancy right here. She should at least be X amount of weeks or X amount of months. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that they're just kind of like, okay, let's just shut up about it, because I think that if they, know better, they'll be like, okay, let's shut up about it. And then we're obviously going to have this baby. If in fact they really are pregnant, they're going to have the baby. And then obviously people are going to be like, oh, we're going to piece that together. But mark my words, like I said earlier, people are obviously going to do the math whenever she gives birth, that obviously they're going to be like, okay, no, you were lying about that, which I think it's so crazy, y'all. Like, the fact that, like, people are out here, like, we live in this whole new world, which I think is just so beyond batshit crazy, of we have people online faking a whole ass pregnancy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's so crazy, which I'm sure you guys have heard before. There's, y'all, I watch the ID channel so much. So many people on there, say, for example, if they're gonna, like, they're going through a breakup or whatever, there's, a lot of women out there that will lie and say that they're pregnant to, like, keep their man, you know what I mean? And then, obviously, be like, oh, I ended up having miscarriage or whatever, just crazy things like that, which I know people do that, but the fact that like people are doing this online, do you know what I mean? Like as if it's like, you know, a whole trend. It's crazy to me. But that's why I said from the jump, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to believe that they're faking this whole thing, because to me, that's just kind of like grimy. You know what I mean? Sorry, y'all, my phone literally started playing right there. But anyways, I want to go ahead and play this clip right here to where she is, you know, explaining why she stopped talking about her pregnancy, which in my personal opinion, I think it's because of all the rumors, but check it out.
I announced it because I wanted to share it with everybody. Like it was an amazing moment for me and Santos. We wanted to share it. We wanted to be like, have everybody on social media a part of it. And then when we did share more about the pregnancy, people had nothing good to say. So we just decided to keep it private after that. So like, what is so hard to understand about that? Yeah.
There y'all saw from right there, she's basically saying that nobody had anything good to say, which I have to say I did at first really see a good mixture of things, that people were kind of like me, y'all. You guys remember my thoughts and opinions about it. I was like, oh, like maybe this will be a good thing. Like maybe now she'll finally wake up, she'll grow up, and she'll start being a better parent to Winter and her new baby. Like honestly, that's the mindset that I had, because I do got to keep it real. I have known quite a few people who say, for example, for their first kid, like it may have been a little bit rough on them. Maybe postpartum like kicks in, do you know what I'm saying? Or maybe just something happens within the brain that's just kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready to grow up and like be a parent yet. So you'll see with the first kid that they'll kind of be a little bit, I don't want to say like shitty because that's like rude, but like, you know, they won't be like the best parents of the first one, but then when the second one comes around, like they grow up a little bit more. You know what I mean? I've witnessed that, you know, with my own eyes. So I have to say, like, maybe that's kind of why I was a little bit more hopeful. However, I saw a lot of people that were, you know, very positive about it at first. And then as soon as, you know, things weren't adding up, that's when the negativity kicked in. And that's where a lot of people were like, something is just not making sense over here. And this smells a little bit fishy. And they were like, let me get to the bottom of it. And that's when a lot of people were like, oh, this is fake. And obviously nobody had anything good to say at that point, because everyone was like, is she lying about this? You know what I'm saying? But whatever, that's her whole reasoning of right there as to why she's not really talking so much about the pregnancy anymore, which I don't know, y'all. Maybe I'm like over analyzing the situation, but I'm like, she's either A, not thinking or not speaking about it too much because she wants to like sweep it under the rug and maybe she's really not pregnant, or B, maybe she really wasn't pregnant from the jump and it was a full-on skit and then she got pregnant a month later, and then she knows people are going to do the math that if she does give birth, they're gonna be like, the hell? Like, girl, you were pregnant for like damn near 11 months. Like, that don't make no damn sense. So I think she's just kind of like sweeping it under the rug right now, in my opinion. Anyways, y'all, she does open up about the DVRO with 2K, okay? So I do want to go ahead and play this clip right here to where she is basically saying that, oh, DVROs normally last from like 2 to 5 years and hers is only for 1 year. Like, she's completely downplaying the whole thing, which I do have to say, if you guys don't recall, after, you know, the court was like settled, they are having another reassessment in January. So I do think that this DVRO is kind of, you know, temporarily, and I don't think it's like that big of a deal. Obviously, it is a very, very temporary thing. And I think based upon her actions and based upon her behavior, I do think that the judge will end up releasing that. But I don't know, y'all. Like, I have seen a couple clips of her talking about 2K, and I'm like, girl, like, maybe you shouldn't be talking about anything, because obviously this could come to bite her in the ass. Check this clip out right here.
DVROs are usually granted for 2 to 5 years, 5 for very extreme cases. So mine only being a year, like, that really says a lot. So he'll only be 2.5 by then, won't even be in school. And then I'll be able to regain, you know, some type of custody and fight for it. So that's totally fine. A year's really nothing. It wasn't granted because I committed any physical violence, though. It was granted because I said I would. The basis for it, which they do tell you why they grant it, it was mainly because of the comments that I said about, like, if you don't let me see my baby, I'll beat your ass or something like that. Like, that was the basis of, like, the restraining order. So, I mean, yeah. And then some other comments of similar things, so. A year is nothing. When a DVRO is usually granted for 2 to 5 years, a year is nothing.
There y'all saw from right there, she's basically saying that she got the DVRO basically for making online comments, okay? Because she had said, you know, if she can't see her baby, that she's gonna beat somebody, which is kind of crazy, because it just goes to show you that obviously everything that you say on the internet can be held against you. And that's what I'm saying about her. I'm kind of like, girl, aren't you going to learn your lesson and kind of like stop talking about some things? It's like, girl, like, stop, learn your lesson, and just don't talk about this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be beneficial for her. However, I do think that her in the drama is her bread and butter. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I do think that she knows that if she's not talking about 2K, if she's not talking about the court case, if she's not talking about situations that happen between them, I think that she knows that she's not going to bring in the views. So I do feel like it's low-key a double-edged sword, where she's like, damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's like, damn, if I don't talk about this, I'm not getting the views. But then if I do talk about it, it could be held against me. So it's kind of a shitty situation. But if I were her, I would just shut up. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, I do want to go ahead and play a clip right here from 2K to where he is briefly talking about, you know, the whole situation and basically, you know, alluding to the fact that she's still talking about things. Check it out.
And motherfuckers could get a whole restraining order on somebody and them still talk about them. Like, it'd be like, damn, fam, like.
There y'all saw from right there. Obviously, he's still a little bit irritated about it, which I would be the same way. I'd be like, damn, I got this whole ass DVRO and you're still over here talking about situations. By the way, he actually spoke about something else, and I'm so curious to know your guys' thoughts and opinions about this, because he's basically saying that, like, Brianna Olsen had got up onto the internet and she was like, oh, like, you know, he doesn't want me talking about winter or whatever. So she's acknowledging that he doesn't want that. And then obviously that was like one of the main reasons of him getting a DVRO. But then she's still doing it anyway. So he's basically saying, like, isn't that just as disrespectful? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, low-key, yeah, because she's sitting over here acknowledging, oh, he doesn't want me talking about this or that, or winter, or showing winter, or, you know, I don't know, doing anything like that. But then she does. So then it's kind of like you're acknowledging it, but still doing it anyways, which I feel like we can all pretty much, you know, come to the conclusion now that Brianna Olsen just don't give a shit. She's going to do whatever the hell she wants to do. So it's like, even if, yeah, it is low-key disrespectful because it is going against his wishes, especially when he implemented those wishes into the court case, and she's still doing it anyways, it is kind of like a slap in the face. But go ahead and check out this clip right here from 2K.
So she came on the internet and told y'all that I did not want her to post winter. So she said, out of respect for his feelings, I won't post winter. And then she continues to do it, which makes me feel like it's out of disrespect. I don't know what they got going on over there. I'm not going into detail or talking about anything, but it just doesn't make sense to bring up private conversations. So that's not what she said. She said, out of respect, I will not post it.
I don't know. On that one right there, I low-key kind of agree with him, because I'm like, okay, you're saying out of respect for him, I'm not going to do it, but then she does it. So then it's just kind of like, you know, maybe a little bit of a slap in the face. I don't know. I really do think that this whole entire situation should kind of be left offline, especially considering that she acknowledged that the DVRO was granted because she specifically said something online. But I don't know, y'all. Like I said, Brianna Olsen is going to do whatever the hell she wants to do. And I think that she doesn't really have like impulse control. Do you know what I mean? I feel like she's very impulsive and she's just gonna do whatever the hell she wants to do, and I think that may bite her in the ass in the long run. Anyways, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Girl Scout.